Joe had been having horrible headaches, so he went to see his doctor. The doctor said, "Joe, the good news is I can cure your headaches. The bad news is that it will require castration. You have a very rare condition which causes your testicles to press on your spine, and the pressure creates one heck of a headache. The only way to relieve the pressure is to remove the testicles." Joe was shocked and depressed, but in the end, he came to the conclusion that he had no choice but to go under the knife. When he left the hospital, he was without a headache for the first time in 20 years, but he felt like he was missing an important part of himself. As he walked down the street, he realized that he felt like a different person. He could make a new beginning and live a new life. Then he saw a men's clothing store and thought, "That's what I need, a new suit." He entered the shop and told the tailor, "I'd like a new suit." The elderly tailor eyed him briefly and said, "Let's see, size 44 long." Joe laughed. "That's right. How did you know?" "Been in the business 60 years, the tailor said. Joe tried on the suit, and it fit perfectly. As Joe admired himself in the mirror, the tailor asked, "How about a new shirt?" Joe thought for a moment, and then said, "Sure." The tailor eyed Joe and said, "Let's see, 34 sleeves and 16 neck." Joe was surprised. "That's right. How did you know?" "Been in the business 60 years, quipped the tailor. Joe tried on the shirt, and it fit perfectly. He walked comfortably around the shop, and the tailor asked, "How about some new underwear?" Joe thought for a moment and said, "Sure." The tailor said, "Let's see, size 36. Joe laughed. "Ah, ha, I got you. I've worn a size 32 since I was 18 years old." But the tailor shook his head. "You can't wear a size 32. A size 32 would press your testicles up against the base of your spine and give you one heck of a headache." Larry, an avid hunter from Mississippi, walked into the local bar one evening and bragged to everyone about his hunting skills. Larry was undoubtedly a good shot, something all the locals knew. However, on this evening, there was a hunter from out of state in the bar. He told Larry, "If you're such a good hunter, why don't you prove it?" Larry swigged his beer and said, "You're on. Put a blindfold on me, and I will still be able to recognize any animal's skin and tell you how it was killed. For every animal I get right, you buy me another beer. Deal?" The other hunter thought that there was no way Larry could pull this off, so he agreed to the bet. A small crowd was gathering around them, all excited to see how this would turn out. The bartender put a blindfold on Larry and made sure that it was secure, and then they walked him over to his first animal skin. After feeling it for a few moments, he announced, "Bear, shot with a 12 rifle." The bar patrons gasped. He was right. He was handed a glass of beer, which he downed straight away. They brought him another skin, one that someone had in their car trunk. He took a bit longer this time, and then said, "Elk shot with a 7mm mag rifle." He was right again. Through the night, he proved his skills again and again, every time against a round of drinks. Finally, he staggered home, drunk out of his mind, and went to sleep. The next morning, he got up and saw in the mirror that he had one heck of a shiner. He said to his wife, "I know I was drunk last night, but not drunk enough to get in a fight and not remember it. Where did I get this black eye?" His wife angrily replied, "I gave it to you. You got into bed and put your hand down my panties. Then you fiddled around a bit and loudly announced, 'Skunk, killed with an axe.'" Carl and Suzanne had been married for almost 45 years. Lovely couple, but Carl had this one bad habit that had always disgusted Suzanne. Every morning, before getting out of bed, Carl would let out this thunderous, paint-peeling fart. Poor Suzanne would just cringe. Over the years, she had complained at Carl. "You know, Carl, one of these days, you're going to fart your guts out. What are you going to do when that happens?" Carl never took it serious and just continued on with his morning release. So Suzanne decided to begin getting out of bed before Carl woke up. Well, Thanksgiving came along, and Suzanne was up extra early doing prep for that evening's dinner. As she was preparing the turkey, she came across the giblets and had a devious idea. She took the giblets, went upstairs to the bedroom, and carefully placed them in the back of Carl's boxers. With this done, she returned to the kitchen and carried on with her dinner preparations. About half an hour later, Suzanne heard this blood-curdling scream come from upstairs. She chuckled to herself. After a couple of minutes, she figured she had better go check in on Carl. As she walked past the bathroom in the upstairs hallway, she saw Carl kneeling naked beside the toilet, holding 2 fingers up in front of him. "What's wrong, Carl?" she asked, while trying to hold back her laughter. Carl turned towards Suzanne, a tear running down his cheek. "You were right, Suzanne. My goodness, you were right. I actually farted my guts out this morning. But with sheer determination and these 2 fingers, I got them all back in." A couple moved into a rough neighborhood and decided that they needed a guard dog. So the guy goes to a pet shop and says to one of the employees, "I need a guard dog to protect my house." The employee responds, "I have the perfect dog for you." She then showed him a Chihuahua. The man was not impressed and said, "I need a dog that can guard our house and fend off burglars. A Chihuahua can't do that." "But this is no regular Chihuahua. It's an attack Chihuahua." The employee said, "Here, I'll show you how it works. Attack Chihuahua chair." The employee pointed at a chair, and the guy and the employee watched as the Chihuahua destroyed the chair, leaving only splinters behind. "Wow," the guy said. "But I still think we need a real guard dog." "Are you sure?" she responded. "Here, I'll show you again. Attack Chihuahua table." She pointed to a table, and again, the Chihuahua absolutely destroyed the table. The man said, Okay, I'll take it." When he brought it home, his wife was very angry. "Why the heck did you buy a Chihuahua?" she yelled. "Because," he responded, "this is no ordinary Chihuahua. This is an attack Chihuahua." She rolled her eyes and said, "Attack Chihuahua, my ass." My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.